Overwatch 2's hero roster is full of variety in many different ways. Different firing types, different ranges, different abilities. Some heroes excel in other areas where others fall flat. For example, a hero like Ashe is always going to play better at range than a Reaper, because they have different playstyles. Ashe has a lot more range, whereas Reaper has barely any range. But is there a hero who's the middle ground, who has both a good long range and short range attack? Well, yes, actually. This hero is the girl boss herself, SYMMETRA. When I say this hero is stupidly strong, I mean it. She can counter a lot of heroes, and even if she isn't a direct counter to someone, she can still very easily take them in a fight. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can get the most value out of playing her. From telling you how you should position yourself, to explaining how you can maximize your damage output. By the end of this video, you'll be more aware on how to play SYMMETRA like a god gamer. But first, I'm going to ask you to subscribe and leave a like on this video, as I want to continue making Overwatch 2 related content that's not only entertaining, but educational too. First things first, the reoccurring section that we all know and love, unless you're new to the channel. If you are, then hi. Kit breakdown. Her kit is super simple. Your gun has two fire rates, laser beam and a charged single shot. The laser beam is better at closer range because you can't really attack from a distance with it, and it's only a skinny beam when you first start damaging your enemy, but it charges up when you damage your enemy, making it what we like to call a quote-unquote thick beam. That's with 2 C's. And it scales up in damage as you attack the enemy team, meaning you do more damage over time. Your charged single shot is better at far range because it has a large damage fall off, allowing you to basically snipe your enemies. The best thing about this fire rate is that it has splash damage to it, meaning it doesn't have to directly hit an enemy. You can underestimate your shot and shoot at their feet accidentally, and it will still do damage to them, just not as much as a direct hit would. You have 2 main abilities as SYMMETRA. Your teleporter and your turrets. I mean, it's kind of obvious what these do. Your teleporter allows you to teleport from one place to another, kind of like Reaper's teleport, but it stays up as a piece of equipment, meaning you can use it more than once if you want to. Your other teammates can also use this teleporter, so it can be used for a lot of opportunity attacks. Your turrets are, well, turrets. You have 3 of them, and they fire a tracking laser beam at your enemies, dealing extra damage to them whilst your team are fighting them. These have barely any health and can get destroyed very easily, but they still pack a punch to unsuspecting enemies. My first tip on learning how to play SYMMETRA is to know where to position yourself in terms of the rest of your team in the fight itself. If your team is taking a much more aggressive approach in the team fight, go in there with them and use your beam to stack up a lot of damage and help wipe out enemies. Do this from the flank so that if you need to teleport away from the fight, you can do it right back into your backline and get healed up very easily. If your team is playing it safe and at a range, then try and teleport to the high ground and use your secondary fire rate to essentially snipe your enemies. You can even use your turrets to distract your enemies, allowing you to attack them much easier because they're focused on taking out the thing that's killing them at a closer range than the actual person that placed them. Opportunity attacks are what SYMMETRA thrives on, so try and outsmart your enemy with both your physical positioning and the positioning of your equipment. My second tip on learning how to play SYMMETRA is to use your ability sparingly. Think to yourself, do I really need to use my teleporter to get from point A to point B, or can I just walk there? In the same vein, do you really need to put your turrets down all over the place to hold down the biggest area possible? The answer is no. If you put them all together and focused on doing damage in one specific area of the map, you're going to maximize your damage potential and see a lot of value by the end of the match. When you look at your stats, you don't need to be taking fights from 3 areas at once. Focus fire down one lane and your enemies are going to fall apart before they can even get to point. My third tip on learning how to play SYMMETRA is to know when to ult and how to play into it. Your ult, Photon Barrier, is a huge shield that can be used in more than one way. You can use it to hold ground and force your enemies to play in a specific part of the map, or you can use it to mitigate any incoming damage, including some enemy ults. This shield has 4,000 health, so to say it can take a lot of damage is an understatement. Play into this ult and you'll be able to get some very nice picks off onto enemies that are the other side of the barrier. The likeliness of them just running through the barrier is almost definite, but you can just play Ring Around the Rosie with them. Fitting, really, because after you're done, they'll have fallen down. My fourth and final tip on learning how to play SYMMETRA is to simply think about who you're attacking. Let's measure things up real quick here. Your secondary fire rate does 100 damage on impact. Most support and DPS heroes have anywhere between 200 to 250 health, with the exception of a few of them. Tanks have double that amount of health. So who's going to be easier to kill? The supports and the DPS, obviously, so kill them first. This then gives you the opportunity to go and beam down their tank with your primary fire rate, because it does more damage over time and will ultimately have a higher TTK against the tank than your secondary fire rate would. And that just about does it for my guide on how to play SYMMETRA. For a character with such a simple kit, she packs one hell of a punch against every role. The only thing you really need to know about playing SYMMETRA is to play logically. Think about what to do and when to do it. Be a true woman in STEM like her and calculate your attacks. Don't just go, oh, beam does more damage, so I'll play really aggressively all the match. Because it puts you at a higher risk of dying and losing teamfights, and in turn, the entire match. She's an easy character to play, but she requires you to be a little bit big brain. Anyways, that's the end of this video. Once again, I'm going to ask you to like this video, as it lets me know that you find these videos not only to be helpful, but entertaining. Let me know if you have any requests for other heroes in the comments below, and subscribe so you don't miss that guide when it comes out. There are some heroes that I probably won't be able to make a guide on, simply because I don't play them enough, but there are many more heroes on the list that I can make guides on that I can't make guides on. Finally, have a nice day or night if you're watching this at night, and make sure to check out my other videos. Not only will I appreciate it, but you might too.